In this video, we will build some screen of a mobile shopping app, and this project will be followed MVVM architecture that was recommended by Google. For more information about MVVM architecture, you can read it in this link. I added some source for our project. You can check it in this link, and when you open this link, click on code, and you can clone it or download a zip file. After you download it, open it in the Android Studio, and you can see it. In this project, we have a activity, main activity, and main activity have a layout, and in this layout, we just have a fragment container view. We uh, we have a three screens, and we add it in UI folder. For for each for each folder, we have a fragment and view model. We also have a data folder with three subfolders: APIs folder, repository folder, and service folder. Now we check home fragment and home view model. Home view model, we have a function get home data. Whenever we clone get home data, home view model will clone home repository to get home data, and clone product repository to get product list. And in this case, we call home repository and product repository is a two dependency of home view model. So let's check home repository. And in turn, home repository have a two dependency: home remote service and home local service. And it has a function get home data. When this function clone, it try to get data from database. In the case there is no data in database, it will try to get data from server side and then save it in the database, and finally it return data to view model. For home local service, it just uh, uh, it just has a two function, and it's a fake um, uh, uh, for save for saving data to database or get data from database. For home remote service has a dependency home API and a function home data, and call to home get home data of home API. Home API is an interface, and for demo I just implemented a class home API implement. In real project, maybe you will create an instance of home API by using retrofit. So now we want to show data from home view model in home fragment. To do it, we will create a variable for home view model. And we create a function to init this view model. So to create an instance of home view model, we need to two things: home repository and product repository. Now, firstly, we create home repository, and to create home repository, we need create home remote service and home local service. I will create home local service, and then I create home remote service. To create home remote service, we need to an instance of home API. So I create home API. Because home API is an interface, so I will use an instance of home API implement class, and then I pass it in home remote service, and then finally I pass home remote service and home local service into constructor of home repository, and I also create product repository, and we also need to create product local service and product remote service for product repository. And to create an instance of product remote service, we need an instance of product API. And I pass instance of product API for product remote service and pass product local product remote service for product repository. And finally, I add home repository and product repository for a home view model. Okay, so now I want to call in it view model in onCreate method. And for demo purpose, I should create a variable data in here, and I will assign data from home view model point get home data for data. What happened? Sorry, maybe I don't need to use net intent bar. I just default value. I'm sorry. And now we want to show the data from home view model in view. Equal root view by view. Okay, now I want to run our application. And let's see. Here you can see the data, and because I also want to use Rock repository for Rock view model. So it means that example for Rock view model, I want to have a function from get product detail, and this function will return a string. And I want to use a Burak repository, and I should return Burak because it gets Burak detail. Mm, in here you can see Burak detail function. So in the case I want to uh, init uh, an instance of Block ViewModel or create an instance of Block ViewModel, I also need to create Block API, Block Remote Service, and Block Local Service, and Block Repository, and pass it in the constructor of Block ViewModel. And I don't want to have a reputation clause, so I will create a class and keep Block Repository in it. By doing it, I can use the same block repository. So now I will create a folder called di folder, and I create a class, call it app container, and I will copy this and paste it in here. So now let I want home fragment and block fragment will use the same instance of block repository in app container. So to do it, I need to create an instance of app container and share it for every fragment. So first thing I need to do is create a custom of application, and I create app container. Oh, sorry. And I also need to add my application in manifest file. Okay. So now in home fragment, instead of create new instance of block repository, I will use it from app container by calling require to as my application and app container block repository, and I can init it, and in block fragment I create a variable for block view model, and I also create a, a method for init it. And in here I will create an instance of block view model, but before I need to get an instance of block repository. And I also call this method on create, and I call block view model get block detail function to get the data. So now we can try to run our application again, and it still work, right? Okay, so but in here at this point we are creating home view model or block view model in a wrong way. Why I said that? Let me add some log and I show it for you. In home view model, maybe I will add a variable, private var data, and I need it in the t. In the case is data is in the t, I will call home get home data of home repository to get the data. Otherwise, I just return it. You can think it is the way we catch the data, and I will add a log in here, and in here I also add a log. And now I try to run our application again. And you can see when home fragment is opened, uh, it called this node on create and it called this function. So now I try to rotate the screen. I think in at this point we have some easy with emulator. Let me close it and try to it again. I open it again. Try to rotate. I think we have some issue with emulator. Let me try to run it in a physical device. Now I am running our application in a physical device. You can see the login here. I'm sorry, I cannot share my screen in this video. So now I try to rotate the physical device, and you can see that to look at the code again. It means that every time we rotate the screen, uh, the system recreates or create a new home fragment, and it also creates a new home view model, and it also clone this function again. And we don't want to do it because one of the benefits of view model is survive configuration change such as screen rotation. So how can we keep the same instance of home view model when the configuration change? So to do it, we need to create an instance of home view model by using view model provider. And to init a view model provider, we need to pass two things. Uh, One is the view model store owner. We can pass this fragment, and the same thing. The second thing is a view model provider dot factory class. Let me see what is it. It is an interface and return a view model. So it means that we need to create a with a factory class. I call it a home view model factory, and it extends from ViewModel wider factory class interface. Actually, it is an interface, and I implement methods create. And in here, I want to return an instance of home view model. And to instance or create an instance of home view model, we need to pass home repository and block repository. So I will pass it in constructor of home view model factory, and I pass it in here. I'm sorry about it. Uh, home repository. Oh, sorry. And we need to. What happened? Require T, so we need to cast it. Okay, it works. So now we need to create an instance of home view model factory, home view model factory equal home view model factory, and we need to pass home repository and track repository. And now we can pass it in here, and we call get and pass home view model. Okay, now I'll try to run our application again. Clear the log. Sorry, log. Click on run button. Okay, now I try to rotate the screen, and you can see the fragment called this. No, it means that a new fragment um, is created, but the log in here doesn't show. It means that we have the same instance of home view model when the configuration changes, and in this case is when we rotate the screen. Okay, so maybe we also need to do the same thing for block fragment. So block fragment, we open it and create a class block view model factory, and also extend from view model provider factory interface, and implement methods create and return product view model, and I need to pass in here constructor product repository and pass it in here. Okay, and in here we will create I'm sorry, what happened? Okay, I forgot to add this, cast it, and we create product view model factory equal, and I want to pass product repository, and in here I will call ViewModel wider and pass this and get Okay, so now when you run application again, it still work. Okay, let me try to run in emulator. I'm sorry. Okay, it worked. Right. Okay, I stop. But in this board, you can see that we need to create a lot of class for product view model and home view model. Maybe I will create a class. Um, Actually, I want to avoid that we can use the same variable uh, or maybe variable uh, for every fragment. Example, I want to have a variable like view model factory and return this path view model factory uh, in view model provider for every fragment, and we can get an instance of appropriate view model. Let me try to do it. So now I want to create a okay. The first thing we need to do, I copy to plot in here and import it and copy this class in here. Um, Maybe I want to declare it outside. Oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I want to have a class like uh, ViewModel Factory, and it also extend from ViewModel Provider Factory and implement methods create. And I want to when we pass the product ViewModel in here, it will return an instance of product ViewModel, and when I pass home ViewModel class, home ViewModel class in here, it will return an instance of product ViewModel. Um, so to it, the first thing we need to do is create an interface. We call it provider T, and in T we have a function get and just return it. And now instead of creating product view model factory, I will create product view model provider and implement provider view model and implement get method. And I also pass product repository into constructor of product view model provider, because in this function I want to return an instance of product view model. So I need an instance of product repository. Okay, we do the same thing for home view model. Home view model provider and instance or implement provider. Uh, I'm sorry. And we also need to pass repository for provider and return an instance of home view model in here. And now I will as a map. Constructor private Java view model map and map. And I try to get provider in here. Provider. We use model class as a key to get provider. So sorry, we need to get about get. Oh, we need to get value. What did I do? As a as terrible key. Oh, I'm wrong. It's on noon. On noon. Noon. Yeah. And otherwise we will throw an exception. And finally we call provider dot and it has it is t. Okay, so how can we use ViewModel factory in here? Let me. Uh, I will create a variable ViewModel factory. ViewModel factory. Oh no, I think we should call ViewModel provider factory, and we will comment it and pass it in here. And I want to do the same thing with prop fragment, and also want to pass it in here. I'm sorry, I will comment it. And we don't need block repository in here. So because I want to use ViewModel factory for every fragment, so I will add it and or create it in app container. So I create a function create and I copy here, and I also copy uh, all dependency of home view model in here, and now I create to create view model factory we need to create a map, and to create a map we need to key and provider. So I will create an instance of home view model provider and pass home repository, product repository, and I want to create an instance of Pivotal factory for every fragment. So to do it, need and mm, I will create a map view model map, and because we want it, so copy it in here. Okay, now I will add um, view model provider as a value and key. We use a home view model class Java as a key. And we need to call the function when application uh, is created. So we will do it by override on create function and call app container create, and in here we don't need it, we delete it, equal uh, require the application, and we delete, and I want do the same thing for block fragment, so I just need copy it and paste it in here. And to get an instance of block model, we need to uh, add it in app, but we didn't create it. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. View model factory. And now we want to add product view model provider. Okay, now I want to try to run application again to check it, and it work. And at this point, we can delete this function, this class, and you can see instead of create factory for every view model, we create um, provider for it. Maybe it is the same um, because we also write the same code, but we have the same way to work with every fragment by um, use the same ViewModel factory, and we can push everything in app container. Maybe it will help us to manage easier. And now I can delete to class. And as you can see, with manual dependency injection, we need to code a lot of things, right? So to deal with it and to reduce the code need to write, we will use Dagger.